up either. He had 100 yards throwing the ball, 0 touchdowns. Okay, he's another fantasy. Well, he was a fantasy bust definitely this weekend. There's a lot of fantasy busts, and we go into that when we talk to D Nasty coming up in our next segment. And then I think the last one is the Vikings versus the Seahawks. The Vikings couldn't do a lot with the ball. The Seahawks, it was loud in there. Cousins was pretty much stuck. He ended up turning the ball over at the end, giving him another touchdown, and then scores a garbage one at the end. The Vikings have some problems, and it's not just Cousins, it's their offensive line. But Cousins does not look poised back there. He looks nervous. I don't know. I don't think the Vikings are a playoff team this year. I think they might be in a little bit of trouble. We'll see. They have a shot 6-6-1 right now, but it sure as hell is not looking good. Looks like the Bears will get the division, and the Seahawks are 8-5. They're poised to get the wild card, and I was wrong about the Seahawks before the season started. I'll admit that. And props to Russell Wilson, because that guy is a leader right there. Pete Carroll is doing a fantastic job with a bunch of nothing. And, these players are starting to become someone. Wagner is a beast. This team is just kind of on a roll right now. That's about it. That's all we need to really discuss in football. We'll have some more plays out for you to discuss for the Thursday morning podcast. But for now, let's get into college football bowl week 1. We're going to go over our plays for December 15th. All right, let's get started then. The December 15th, we're going to start out with the Auto Nation Cure Bowl in Orlando, Florida. You have Tulane versus Louisiana, formerly Louisiana Lafayette, plus 3.5. So we go right out of the gates here, right, with a game between an option team. They run a lot of options in Tulane, and a decent defense against Tulane's got a decent defense. They can stop the run pretty well against a pretty high-powered Louisiana offense with a very bad defense. Okay, they've done some pretty good things though. Like I said, on offense, 6.7 yards per play. That's really high. Now the reason that you see the spread of 3.5 is because of the fact that Louisiana plays in the Sun Belt. All these Sun Belt games are always so early, it seems. And they look at the Sun Belt as a little bit less of a conference. But how much is that? It's hard to quantify where that is. And they made that same mistake last year. They said the Sun Belt sucked last year, and they ended up going 5-0 in bowl games, upsetting the hell out of some teams. All right. The Raging Cajuns defense should allow Tulane to almost score at will. They give up like 6.4 yards per play. But being that Tulane also gives up a pretty healthy 5.6 yards per play, I do not think Louisiana is going to be left short of a lot of points. I think it's because they have that high-powered offense, they should be able to get some points. One would think that Louisiana isn't the better running team either, but they do average 5.6 yards per rush over a 4.6 for Tulane. Tulane's actually runs the ball worse than Louisiana. I like the fact that the Raging Cajuns have about 2 weeks to prepare for an option-type team. Sharper money looks to be on the Louisiana side. And that's why you saw the move going from +4 down to +3.5. I can't really bet the over in good conscience because Louisiana ranks they're so slow in plays per game. 115th in plays per game, right? That's pretty high. And you have a high total at 66.5. But, I think I'll take the hook, and I think I like Louisiana plus 3.5. I lean over, but, I just don't think that I'm just not so sure that's a great bet. Moving on to the New Mexico Bowl in Albuquerque, New Mexico. North Texas versus Utah State. Utah State is laying 9 points. The total in this game is at 66.5. So this spread was at 11, right? And sharp money hit North Texas due to Utah State's coach, Matt Wells, going to Texas Tech and will not be coaching the bowl game. For a while, some people were calling this Utah State possibly the best group of 5 team, but in my opinion, that Michigan State close loss isn't really looking that great right now. It really isn't the way Michigan State's been playing and how they played in the stretch. Pretty average Big Ten team, actually. Now, Utah State was a very nice team to bet on this year. They went 9-3 against the spread, okay? They were led by a very good quarterback in Jordan Love. But looking at their schedule, it kind of showed pretty easy to me. Besides Boise State and Michigan State, nobody else was that good in the Mountain West, really. Nobody, Fresno. But I don't think they played Fresno. Just Boise and Michigan State there. Now, North Texas, on the other hand, they're supposed to be in more of an inferior division, right? And I'm not so sure about that looking at the Mountain West this year. Conference USA. I think that Conference USA is actually a lot better than people think. Now, both of these teams are pretty equal on defense, allowing about 5.1-ish yards per play, but Utah State has the slight edge on offense at 6.9 yards per play over 6.4. The power ratings have Utah State by 10, but I think this bowl game could be a bit closer due to losing the Matt Wells. They're facing a motivated team. North Texas wants to win a bowl game. I think that the division is a little bit better than people think, so I'm going to have a lean right now on North Texas at plus 9. I'll consider playing it, but right now I'm only going to give this one out as a lean. Next on the docket for December 15th is the Las Vegas Bowl in Las Vegas, Nevada. Arizona State versus Fresno State. Minus 4.5. Over under is 53.5. Both of these teams really no home field advantage. About the same distance away. You play to win the game, right, Hermie? Well, Herm Edwards has done a fantastic job this year. 7-5 straight up, as well as 7-5 against the spread. Nobody thought this team would be in the mix this year for the Pac-12, and they just missed making it in, losing to Oregon by 2 points. They just missed it. ASU is well coached, and they have a solid defense, allowing only 4.6 yards per play. Okay, their offense isn't too shabby either. Fresno State, on the other hand, also has had an amazing season. 9-4 against the spread. Heck, they cashed our 6-1 future ticket on winning the Mountain West. I was very happy with Fresno State this year. I'm actually surprised that Jeff Tedford hasn't gotten any big offers either from Power 5 schools. I'm shocked about that. Fresno State has a very solid offense at 6.2 yards per play and a similar defense to ASU. Both allow about 4.7-ish yards per play. Now, the big news here to ASU, and it hits hard, is that N'Keal Harry isn't going to play, right? We heard that. We talked about that last week. And he was their leading 1,000-yard wide receiver. This is definitely a big hit to this team. But I also think that the spread might be a little bit too big because of it. The money hit Fresno after that, and they're laying 4.5 now. Now, if you look at the strength of schedule, ASU clearly has a harder schedule. Now, I know the Pac-12 isn't looked at as being that strong, but like we said before, the Mountain West is really, really down. And when Fresno State, the only ranked team they played was Boise State, and they went 1-1 against them. And they went up to Minnesota, and they lost early in the season too. They lost. In Minnesota, it was supposed to be early for them. I thought Minnesota got better as the year progressed. So I think this division is a big discrepancy here. I don't like the Mountain West whatsoever this year. So I'm going to watch this spread go up, and most likely we are going to take ASU. And I have a very strong lean at 4.5 to ASU, but I'm going to wait on this one because I think more Fresno money is going to come in, and you'll be able to pop that thing possibly around 6.5. The Camellia Bowl, Montgomery, Alabama, Eastern Michigan versus Georgia Southern. Georgia Southern is now laying -1, and the total is at 47.5. Pretty low total there. Well, running teams, right? I don't understand this line that much, though. I think it's more because of the bias, like I said before, against the Sun Belt. My power ratings have Georgia Southern a 2.5 favorite, and Sagarin has them about a 1-point favorite where it is now. So maybe I'm wrong at 2.5, but I don't think I am. and I think there's not too many people from Michigan that are really excited to go to Montgomery, Alabama for a bowl game. And on the other hand, Georgia Southern is only a little 4.5 hour drive away, less than 300 miles to this bowl. If you're from Georgia Southern, that's where the university is. It's almost like a home game for them compared to what Eastern Michigan has to do. I'm also sure that Eastern Michigan is great against the pass. They beat teams like Purdue, Toledo. They kept up with Buffalo well. But they're very bad against the run. Not very bad, but pretty bad. They give up 4.4 yards per carry, losing to teams like San Diego State, Northern Illinois. And they lost to another option team in Army by 15 points. And the Eagles this year average about 5.3 on the ground. Well, the Georgia Southern Eagles, not the, not the Eastern Michigan. So basically, I think Georgia Southern should be able to run all over this team. I like Georgia Southern in an almost home game, laying the points -1. That is my play for this game. Next game we have is the New Orleans Bowl in New Orleans. Middle Tennessee State versus Appalachian State. Appalachian State is laying -7 points. Total is at 50.5. Okay, so this line got bet down a bit due to a few things. Scott Satterfield's moving on from Appalachian State to Louisville, we heard. And this is Brent Stockstill's last game playing for his dad at Middle Tennessee State. Now, this line is also about perception here. Another Sun Belt team, like I said, a ton of them. The Sun Belt does not get the props it deserves, and I think it's wrong. The Mountaineers have played great against passing teams, right? Such as Arkansas State, Louisiana Lafayette, or Louisiana, like we say, and of course, Penn State.